All right. As I was saying, sorry about that. The thing clicked off, and as I was saying, I've seen other advice where they said you can use old fuel cans. Don't do it. Make sure it's fuel grade or food grade. Don't use fuel cans to put water in. Okay. These little storage boxes are nice if you have electronics that you don't want jacked up and it's raining and stuff like that. I'd prefer to go with something like this for my phone or any other important electronics, for a simple fact it's small, easy, and that folds up enough to where you can put it in your pocket and not have a problem. These Sawyer water filters are, I recommend everybody get one for every single bag, and then have one of the larger ones, which is pump style, which this don't have it, but it's a larger one that you can keep in your car just so you have backup. Like they are phenomenal. I have tried these. I've actually went to a local park and duck pond and got the water out of there and used that to filter it and drank it, and I didn't get sick. And if anybody's ever been to a duck pond, those are absolutely freaking nasty. Absolutely nasty. Tons of bacteria. But I like to test myself, so I use this particular one, these minis and this brand, and it was phenomenal. The water tasted great. They also got life straws. Life straws don't last as long because with these you can back flush these. So I recommend this brand. Just because I used it, tried it, and I understand how it works and how it's different. Up here is the water treatment tablets. Those are not bad when you have water that's filtered, because those kill off the bacteria. The problem comes when you don't have all that other stuff, and that only makes it biologically safe. It doesn't make it chemically safe. So there's a big difference. For you who don't know about the difference, if biologically safe is just about bacteria, and chemically safe, like, so, what if somebody dumps something into the water? Filters, they can, but not always get that stuff off. There is a trick to getting chemicals out of water, and it's too much to demonstrate on this video. We're just going over basic stuff. If you'd like to know that, contact me. And here's something something else that I've never seen or heard anybody else include. I know a lot of them have ice packs in their med kits. Every now and then you'll hear people say about have a couple ace bandages and stuff like that. But if you got ankle problems, if you got knee problems, if you have elbow or wrist or shoulder problems, get this stuff. Get an extra pair, like for both sides of your body, and throw them in, because they'll help support it. Because remember, if you get lost, hurt, or something like that in the woods, you need to put everything as much as possible in your favor as quickly as possible. So for these compression bandages and sleeves, they help take a lot of strain off your muscle, especially people who have multiple injuries. I'd get the stiffer bandages for ankles, because that's one of the most common injuries, and a set for the knees, because those are going to be your most common injuries. People who get lost out in the woods, who are just simply hiking and stuff like that, and like having that stuff already on hand can make the difference between crawling out and walking out. And if you know how to use this tape, this therapy tape, I'd get some of that too, because if you injure a shoulder or a back or something like that, that really, really, really does help. Anybody who's ever had an injury, like I've torn my shoulder, this really helped when it was put on. The physical therapist showed me how to put it on correctly, which you guys are, if you're going to carry that, you need to know how to do it correctly. So, it's worth it just getting some of these, going down to a physical therapist and like, hey, show me how to put this on ankles, show me how to put it on knees, show me how to put it on this body part, that body part, you know, and then, you know, you have the knowledge and you're good to go. So if anybody in your party or you yourself gets hurt, you know how to apply that to assist in continuing to move to be able to keep yourself alive. Okay, so my 2 cents on these, they're freaking great. There's something else that I saw that I wanted to touch on. We touched on tarps before. Well, there's a couple things. Okay, yeah. So, air horns make a lot of noise. It's easier to get whistles. But flares, the ones you shoot up and the ones you simply hold. Okay, both can be useful. You know, a lot of people say you can use them for fire starter. I wouldn't use it for a fire starter. I'd say, well, unless it's a last resort, because they do burn hot. They can ignite a fire. But if you're having difficulty with the lighter and some of your prepared tinder, then I don't see how that can really do too much to help. But having one of these is important because, you know, who knows? Like if you can't move, you can at least, like, you injure your legs so bad, or, you know, hips, back, whatever, where you can't move. This is going to be your only method of signaling. So, you know, it's there. Again, it all depends on your weight of your bag and if you want to carry it or you feel comfortable carrying it. Here's the whistles. You know, floating keychains. You know, I have used these for other items, smaller items. Yeah, you know, but I was on a boat and I wanted to make sure certain things would not come off, or would not, if I dropped them accidentally, they wouldn't float down to the bottom or sink down to the bottom. They'd sit there and float, and so those can be useful. But I take this little cheap ass chain off and I'll use something like a bread tie or a piece of twisting wire, something solid to where you can twist it and bend it over itself to where it will not come undone. Where is it? Right here. So, slingshots, nice, easy tool to carry. You know, these are getting more and more popular. I don't know if you guys ever seen them or not. Most of you probably should have, or at least used them for taking small things like squirrels, rabbits. Not that bad. You know, they do take practice. All these takes practice to get used to. Make sure you get the heaviest band you can pull back to at least arm length, so you can get some power with it. And there's ways to modify these to where you can actually shoot an arrow off of it. And I've seen a few of them that actually have a built-on arrow rest. So if you if you know how to make an arrow and you make an arrow, you can use it to potentially take something larger, you know, which is always helpful. Hopefully, if you're smart, you have a firearm with you, but then again, those can be lost, and you can also run out of ammo. So be cautious with using those. And I'll touch on it briefly. You know, pepper spray. More along the lines of something like bear spray if you're in the area, like especially when you're around grizzly bears, brown bears, because they have a tendency to jack people up. Black bears can be dangerous, but they generally run from you. A grizzly bear or brown bear, their natural instinct is to hit you at least once and then run away. But the thing is, hitting you just once is really going to destroy you. Absolutely jack you up. There's people who died from a single hit. So, be cautious. Eye protection. You know, if you're going to be doing woodworking, especially if you're learning to woodwork, wear hand protection and eye protection. And I like to have beginners put something over their legs, because you're usually holding it on your lap when you're sitting around a campfire and working it. So I ask them to bring an extra piece of leather over their legs to kind of protect themselves. When you're first learning, you're going to make mistakes, and that's just common. We all do it. There's nothing to shy away from saying, I don't want to freaking do that because of XYZ. It doesn't matter. Protect yourself first, and worry about how you look and feel afterwards. As long as you're making it through, making it out in the end, that's the thing that's important. These anti-glare, the fishing glasses with anti-glare, if you're going to get them, try to get one that's rated, that's Z-rated for safety, so they can be safety glasses too. But if you're out on the water or you're in snow, that's going to damage your eyes. Not permanently, you will recover, but just the glare and the reflection of the light is going to damage your eyes. So if you're in an area that has a lot of snow or water where it reflects the light back into you, I definitely recommend sunglasses. Absolutely recommend. Get an extra pair, like something like this, at least in a box, and throw it in there. They're cheap, easy, don't have to worry about it. Bringing one with you at that point. If you want to bring an extra one, that's fine. It's your kit. You're the one carrying it. So, and they're light, so it's not likely going to cause you problems. I do recommend that people get mirrors, just for signaling. Bells. Okay, these are made for bear deterrence, but you can also use it to signal. One of the things I told some people that when we're in camp is to take one of their bells and put it on a little post right there in camp. So when and it was a bigger bell than these. It was shaped like a cowbell, but it was like that big. And whenever whoever gets back first, they start cooking, and when food's almost done, or depending on where we're at, like if we went down to the pond to go fishing and stuff like that, it's about a 10-minute hike from there back. So when it's about 10 minutes away from being finished, just start rattling that bear. Same thing, or not bear, the bell, and to let everybody know, okay, again, food's almost done. By the time we spend 5 minutes packing up, 10 minutes hiking, like it's good and ready. But these are things you can use them to signal, not really to deter bear. If you're just walking around talking, that's enough of a deterrent. If you're by yourself, then yeah, that could be helpful. But you can also put one on your bag with a little note, like if you're leaving it in camp, if you find this, ring this bell loudly, and that way you can leave your bag somewhere. Like say you find a nice spot where you want to build a campfire, so you drop your bag, and then you're going to collect firewood, you're going to collect water, you're going to collect this, you're going to collect that. So you're leaving your weighted bag that's 20, 30, 40 pounds behind, so you're not carrying extra. Having that strapped to it, to where in a note, people are going to be like, okay, I came across this person, in their note it says, hey, I'm lost. If you find this bag and I'm not here, ring the bell loudly until I get back. And some people have whistles and stuff like that, but it's just a little thing you can do to help get you out. Glow sticks, a lot of people like them. If you got kids, like especially young kids, and they're with you, that's something fun for them at night, so that's more of a toy entertainment part, and we haven't talked about it in this series, but I do recommend having some form of an entertainment, because you're gonna get bored. Like if you don't know what you're doing, there's not a whole lot you can do, so you're going to get bored, and that's okay, that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. So having things to entertain the kids, having things to entertain yourself is fantastic. So these Commando Saws, stay away from them. seen too many break. I haven't really seen any that's useful. The ones with the actual chainsaw links on it are better, but you know, if you have something like this, an actual saw like this, I got a slightly bigger one that's a lot thicker. It works a million times faster. Okay. They say this is sharpening stone. Then no, this refines. This helps you reshape the edge. As coarse as it is, you need something smoother in order to sharpen with. Talked about compasses, just more fire starters, more knives, little pocket tools. Not that useful. Axes. Again, I prefer the tomahawk, but a good solid little hatchet, I should say, is better than nothing. I haven't tried this brand out, but it seems like pretty solid. I've held ones that weren't in packages that other people had, so they're not bad. Emergency blankets, yeah, get one, but I don't recommend these. I recommend the thicker ones, and just because they can handle the wind and rain 10 times better. So these thin ones they work, but they're flimsy, and you got to always be cautious about tearing it. And here's the other thing. So carabiners. Okay. As you can see, this one's only rated 150 pounds. If you're going to use carabiners for stuff, especially if you're going to use it to climb with or do any heavy lifting with, get actual rock climbing carabiners. Like, yes, they're more expensive, but like that's rated for 150. So, and I've seen so many times, I've heard so many people say, hey, if I use 2, that's 350. And it's like, it's cheap metal. It's probably not even going to be that. You know, in theory, it works, but you got to realize if you don't line the load up correctly, it's going to be more on one than the other. So one fails, then the other fails. But if you have a rock climbing one's that's mated to carry you and keep you alive, it's going to hold a hell of a lot more than 300. So, you know, just attaching gear to your bag and stuff like that, okay, that's fine with. But if you're going to use it to climb or haul something heavy, absolutely use the right gear for the job, because you don't want to risk injuring or killing yourself further. You're already in a bad situation, so don't even do it. Paracord, bring extra paracord. This is 1100 paracord. So a lot thicker, a lot stronger than the 550. My recommendations, if you're going to use a paracord, get a lot of it. You know, this 50 feet, 100 feet isn't much, but there's bank line that is a lot. You get a lot more. And yeah, granted, like the one I got is rated at 325 pounds. You know, I'm not likely to be tying anything or needing it for anything over that. But with that bank line, I got over 1,000 feet with it. So, you know, and it's only a couple pounds, only a few pounds. I think it's like a 3-pound thing. So, not that heavy, and I get a lot more, and I can use it as a last resort for a lot of things, especially like making netting and stuff like that, and I could braid it together to make something a lot stronger. So it's pretty much it. Again, these fire cubes, we talked about that in one of the other videos, the fire starters, fire logs. This one says it's a no-touch starter and light stamped wood, so probably has something in here to make it burn extra hot. The no touch part means just it stays and burns in the wrapper. It doesn't mean anything special, but it'd be interesting to see what's actually in there to make it burn hotter enough to light damp wood, which it could be just it has something to burn longer, so it has time to dry it out. If I was going to make my own, I'd include very fine magnesium shavings because those burn super hot. But that's just me. You know, a lot of people would like to use these bigger lighters and stuff like that. You know, those small Bic lighters are just fine. And if you're going to use a different one, use one of the jet lighters. But you got to realize they get hot and they throw more heat into something per second just because they're just pushing it out with force, but they also run out of fuel quicker. So it's a trade-off. Hand warmers, you know, if you're somebody who has problems with keeping your hands and feet warm, then have some of those in and use them as a last resort. But I don't really have that problem, especially if I'm out and about and moving. So just me, that's a personal choice right there. Other than that, there's not really a whole lot when I walked through here that was super interesting to talk about. You know, we talked about the first aid kits. They have this one down here that's a lot bigger. It's basically the same as the other ones I was talking about that are just bandages. Nothing serious. If you want to make an actual medical kit that includes trauma and stuff like that, then we can make another whole video on that. And it's going to be a video. It's going to be long. And I'd prefer if you guys went and got hands-on medical training in order to be able to know what you need, what you don't need, and how to use it, because the last thing you want to do is cause more injury, which a lot of things that people freaking do is cause more injury. You know, that's why when EMTs, paramedics, you know, military corpsmen get there, they want to know, what have you done? You know, if you've done anything, because the shit you've done, they 9 times out of 10 have to undo before they can do anything to keep that person alive, and that takes time, and time is life. So, you know, get some training, get some experience, understand what's going on, and then you can make the decision on what you want yourself, because you have that level of knowledge. All right, we'll go to the next split.